Dear Virgos, hello. We're entering a powerful breakthrough period. Here, in July, you'll be absolutely bursting with Mars energy. Throughout the whole month, Mars will travel through your sign from start to finish, giving you a huge adrenaline rush. You'll feel a fire lit under you, just rushing around like crazy, tackling tons of issues. This is a key period for work and career success when you'll have energy to spare. But you'll be like a fierce piranha. Anything that gets in your way, you'll just chew right through. You'll have wild, unstoppable energy. At the same time, the main point of this energy is mental activity. Your mind will break everything down and analyze everything around you. It's like mental adrenaline. Throw any crossword, any information, any system at you, and you'll just sort it out, organize everything, and put it all in order. And this state, it's almost manic. Like a wild nerd who studies everything around and figures everything out. It's fun, exciting, and full of spark. At the same time, there is also the potential for some good love stories here. And that's a really important nuance, connected to the fact that, this is a very soulful, warm personality. There are situations or circumstances that suggest a pretty good romantic story could unfold this month. Actually, the romantic story began at the end of June, when there was a new moon in Cancer around the 25th. And maybe, in fact, it started even earlier, maybe somewhere in the middle of June. But the point is, at the end of June, this feeling forms that I feel good with someone, somewhere, somehow. My soul just sings from having this person nearby. And here, in July, this story continues to develop. This is connected to Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, which will remain in this sign until the summer of 2026 and brings very good prospects for romantic stories. So in June, you'll be able to enjoy your personal life, so to speak, as well as your work. But if you just power through your work, here it's important not to mix things up, because there's every chance you might end up taking it out on your partner with that aggressive Mars energy. And then your personal life will be barely crawling along, like, sorry, forgive me. So it's really important to channel that aggressive Mars energy into your work. Well, in your personal life, sure, it can lead to good sex, but at times you can be, really hot-tempered, and sometimes act very aggressively. And let's not forget, there's still a romantic person next to you. And sometimes you'll just spontaneously, accidentally want to give that romantic person a black eye, and then your conscience will torment you for a long time. I don't know. All right, fine. So, let's actually break down what's going on here. In this video, there will be 5 key events. Each of them might hit you hard, or might just pass you by. This has to do with the fact that there are general events I'm talking about here, and then there's how they personally resonate with your date of birth. Below the video, you'll find a link to calculate things based on your date of birth. It'll show which of these general events will be a 5-star event for your date, and which will just be a 1-star event or maybe not show up at all. So, there's a link for a free calculation right below the video. I also have a private Telegram channel with tons of tools for personal forecasts, where your specific aspects are discussed, commented on, and explained. The main thing we've done there is create charts for the week, the month, and the year. Charts are 2 or 3 times easier, clearer, and more convenient to analyze than all those texts, long articles, and so on. It's very visual and user-friendly. There are also discussions in the private channel, astrologer assistance, and lessons on how to analyze. For example, throughout June we're studying Jupiter, the main planet of happiness, where and how it gets activated, what opportunities it brings, where it's fake, where it's real, and how to make use of it. We've also integrated artificial intelligence there, and it's already cranking out 1,000 messages a day. You can chat with it, do whatever you want, anything you like. In short, there are tons of useful features and functions. Just subscribe for 1 month and you will see how much is in there. Alright, let's move on to analyzing the events. We already have 5 key points. The first event. Oh, by the way, I forgot one more ad. Another ad. As if there wasn't enough advertising, here's some more. So, if you have WhatsApp and it's registered to a non-Russian phone number, you might have access to my WhatsApp channel, where I also post forecasts. I just wanted to drive a bit of traffic there. If you're interested in following me in a messenger, specifically on WhatsApp, there's a link down below the video. Join in. Alright, let me break down the first events, specifically from July 1st to July 5th. The spiciness of the black moon. This is one of those times when a crack might appear in your personal life. No, not a crack, but a doubt. Where have you been? Oh, where have you been wandering? And this is a very subtle nuance. The black moon is currently in a water sign, a sign of feelings, emotions, and the people we consider close. But the black moon raises the question, are they really close? Are they even people? Or maybe there are demons there. The black moon, in fact, can very often symbolize something called succubi, you know. It's when you're sleeping and you feel like some entity is sitting on you. So, these are all sorts of esoteric issues, spirits, demons, that get into your emotional field and try to interact with you. That's why, for me, Scorpios handle this easily, no problem. And here, from July 1st to 5th, there are these games of astral entities going on. I'm telling this in a lighthearted way right now. But actually, it's not funny at all. When you wake up all sweaty and feel like there's someone else in the room. Basically, Black Moon and Scorpio, yeah, it's like a horror movie plot, like Barabash came up with something. Actually, the last time Black Moon was in Scorpio, when this kind of Black Moon astral presence could have clearly manifested in our lives, was in 2013. Well, who knows, right? Okay, my forecast for Virgos is turning out kind of weird with all these esoteric digressions. Black Moon, along with its astral entities, will really come into play here in the fall, in October and in November of 2025. There will be a Brazilian soap opera vibe, and those astral entities will be there too. Here, from the 1st to the 5th, it's just a small dose of Black Moon elements, like the feeling that someone, well, that someone secretly loves me. Like, I'm sleeping and I just know that someone loves me. And here, there are these kinds of astral games, dreams. Well, damn, I feel like I'm getting too much into your heads right now. It's just that Black Moon in a water sign. Well, in a water sign, it's all about our subtle emotional connection with others. And here, from the 1st to the 5th, you might feel like you have some kind of strange emotional connection with other people. And Black Moon is also about overthinking, about imagining things that aren't really there. Like, you get hung up on something, make it up in your head, and then there you go. I feel like this is a really weird forecast for Virgos. Well, this is exactly where Black Moon comes in from the 1st to the 5th of July. If you wanted something strange, here you go. You wanted Black Moon, so I've come up with a story for you, something you can get worked up about and imagine all sorts of things. But jokes aside, specifically, what does Black Moon bring from the 1st to the 5th of July? Obsession, these kinds of astral, strange dreams, odd emotions from other people, and generally, some pretty weird people around you. Plenty of weirdness. Whatever. As for Virgo ascendants, I should clarify that the Black Moon is most likely moving through your 3rd house, and it could be connected to brothers or sisters, around whom there might be some unclear situations. It seems like they're your brother or sister, but they act like they're not. Also, at some point, the Black Moon might move into your 4th house. That means questionable situations related to real estate. Be careful. Renting property, renovating property, or anything at all connected to real estate can take on a somewhat dubious nature when the Black Moon is wandering through the 4th house. It just keeps wandering around and around. If only you could catch it and whip it so it would stop wandering. Alright, enough. Let's talk about something constructive, because this esotericism is getting out of hand, I think. Unsubscribe from me if I keep pushing this esoteric stuff. Let's get to something constructive. From July 7th to 13th, your Mars, which is currently in Virgo, is giving you just a hyper amount of energy, like a hypercharge. You're basically a crazy battery right now. And right here, there's a full moon on the 10th in the sign of Virgo, also an Earth sign, which really amps up the Earth signs with super energy. This is exactly the period where you're just crushing your dreams, getting a huge amount of things done. There's none of that weird emotion or esotericism I mentioned at the start of the month, when you might get swept up in it, or maybe life introduces you to some odd esoteric person early in the month. But here, you're the one handling any work matters yourself. Life is buzzing, boiling over. There's activity, adrenaline, 333 tasks. You handle everything easily, just like that, solving any issues in a snap. The full moon suggests that I'm in the mood, enjoying myself, and everything is working out for me. Another important feature of this period is that Uranus moves into Gemini and begins its 7-year cycle. Uranus in Gemini is a symbol of extremely rapid superlearning. You could say, when ideas are grasped on the fly, learning happens 5 times fast. Well, I'm exaggerating, but still, much faster than in the previous decade. In other words, we're discovering some potentials of superintelligence within ourselves. It's not exactly like in the Matrix, where they plug a cable into your head and the learning just starts flowing. But Uranus in Gemini is actually something pretty close to that, and over the next 3 months, we'll get fully acquainted with this Uranus and be absolutely amazed. Seriously, over these next 3 months, you'll realize that new technologies, artificial intelligence, new gadgets, a new world, a new level of interaction, a new level of communication, a new level of information, and the sheer volume of information we're starting to experience, all of that is happening. And in this sense, everything I just said, the influence of this Uranus in Gemini over the next 3 months, will honestly leave you in a state of shock by the end of October, when? For now, in July, you probably won't yet see any fundamental understanding of what's changed. But in October, looking back over the past 3 months, you'll realize that so many global changes have actually happened in your consciousness, and how you'll work from now on, how you'll live, how you'll interact with people, how much information and knowledge you've gained during this time, and how differently you now see life. These 3 months will become legendary. And July is the starting point. You know, like in Star Wars, when they show a spaceship flying, and then suddenly it teleports somewhere out there, to other realities, other galaxies, you know, that's exactly the point here. When your ship just makes a hyperspace jump and you fly off into a new world. And then, at the end of October, we'll meet in this new reality, and you'll realize that these 3 months were not in vain. And you'll be in a completely new world, a new life, and with a new understanding of how to move forward. These are 3 months that will change the life of each of us. And Uranus in Gemini is exactly what changes our consciousness, changes the way we interact with information, and most importantly, changes our intellect from Virgo. And for Virgo, intellect is everything, brains are everything. Here, over the next 2 or 3 months, you'll realize that your brain will no longer work the way it used to. You will start to think differently to understand this. This is the main influence of the age of Aquarius. It conditionally began about 100 years ago. All this electricity, telegraphs, televisions, the internet, and now artificial intelligence will just polish off this age of Aquarius, and we'll enter this superspeed era, and that's it. And the world will definitely become informational, digital. And there will be no way back. Well, alright. What am I even talking about? So, basically, on the 7th of the 13th, on the 7th, Uranus moves into Gemini. Yeah, it won't be immediately obvious within a week, but over the course of 3 months, we'll definitely see it all. So, I've said everything that needed to be said here. The only thing, I'll just clarify one important point. There is a node of the past in your sign, which symbolizes my old ways of working, my old methods of getting things done. And here, within the framework of this full moon, this node of the past gets activated quite well. So, around the 10th of July, you'll get an invitation to return to your old way of doing business, your old business projects, or maybe an old community, an old place. The message will be clear. Use your old resources to work a lot, well, and efficiently. Go back in your thoughts to some point in the past. In general, this theme of the node of the past is hitting on all fronts here, giving you the chance to use your old experience for these new businesses, ventures, and so on. You're basically like a rocket here. For those with Capricorn ascendant, let me clarify. The full moon in Virgo, in Capricorn, on the 10th most likely falls in your 5th house. This is an important matter, possibly related to a child, or it could be some of your creative projects. And Mars is at its strongest in the 1st house, which means I'm a tough, strong, bold, aggressive Virgo, and I don't care about anything. That's what the situation looks like at the full moon on the 10th. The 14th and 15th of July look like this. We keep living. We keep moving forward. We've blasted off into space on a rocket. Now it's time to come back. What are we coming back to? Here, on the 14th and 15th, the emotional side of the month kicks in. No more black moon. Please, don't pour any more of that onto the table. All that esotericism, the stuff Succubus talked about, and the astral entities that might have been running in the background somewhere around the 1st to the 5th of July, they've all run by and disappeared. But here, it's emotional, truly emotional, a deep intimacy with a very strong soulful resonance. And most importantly, here the future node in Pisces is activated, which says, let new emotions into your life, whether it's in the form of a child, a loved one, or simply a new place that awakens your emotional, creative naturalness, spontaneity, and love for Crimea. Basically, here everything is included in the package. It's the perfect time for some kind of all-inclusive trip, where you have your loved one, a new country, the sea, everything is bundled together in one single package. And alcohol too, by the way, the moon is in Pisces here. Relax, unwind by the sea. And on the one hand, the whole month of June is filled with water planets. Here, Jupiter is in Cancer, and the Sun is in Cancer as well. And the moon is also in Cancer with the North Node, Pisces. And this Pisces Cancer, watery, emotional energy is at its peak, especially during these 2 days. At the same time, it's quite harmonious. So dedicate this time to your emotions, your loved ones, relationships, family, and to whatever helps you take a break from all that hard work. You know, like, put your head down and grind. That's what it's been like up until now. But here, it's all about putting your work aside and focusing on your loved one. That's where it feels good. And this, there's no need to work. Here, on the 14th and 15th, you need to rest. You worked on the 9th and 10th, but here, just enjoy yourself. And take care of your personal life, too. Again, Jupiter plays a huge role in your personal life. In the sign of Cancer, which means, here is my dear soul, here is that warm, beloved, and important person right next to me. Again, with Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, you met at the end of June. Most likely, it will become clear what incredibly loving, sensual, and emotional story we're talking about. Here, it really unfolds brilliantly on the 14th and 15th. Let me clarify, on the 14th and 15th, it's moving right through the 7th house. Here it is, your beloved emotional, family, or even romantic life. Focus on it. Stop tearing around, throwing things, pushing everyone around at work, and getting caught up in work stuff. Pay attention to your personal life. Here's your partner, emotional, sensitive, empathetic, a bit moody, but oh so sweet, sweet, sweet. So much so that at times you'll want to take a little bite, but your teeth this month are something else, let me tell you. So, it is crucial to bite very gently and with extreme caution, or you might inadvertently and quite unexpectedly take off a significant piece of whatever you are biting into, which could lead to undesirable consequences. The next key event is a short-term kind of mess in your head. No, mess isn't the right word. There's just a lot of mental boiling going on for you right now. Basically, all of July is boiling over, but in a good way. Your brain is so active that your hair practically stands on end, all by itself, day and night. It's almost impossible to sleep because your mind is just buzzing with activity. Work matters are getting resolved at lightning speed in every direction. But it's during these particular dates that a few main trends stand out. First of all, Mars is connecting with its past. This feels like a gathering of old acquaintances, people we've known for a long time, with whom we're really grinding away, and I'm the main driving force. And here I am, dragging along some program from the past. There are communities. There's a group of people with whom we're achieving results together, fighting tooth and nail for those results. One way or another, by hook or by crook, we'll just steamroll everyone who needs to be, into whatever needs to be done, and it'll turn out the way it should. Do what needs to be done, and it'll turn out right. And with these slogans, you're just flattening the whole world around you, like a steamroller on asphalt, and let anyone around you try to say something. They'll just get steamrolled into the asphalt right then and there. And in these tough energies, honestly, most of July goes by. But at certain moments, these energies get as intense as possible, like during the full moon on the 9th, you're the asphalt pavers on this steamroller. And again, during these dates from the 17th to the 22nd, hello again, steamroller. And as for everyone else, goodbye. Because with the kind of force you're laying down here, no one will dare say a word to you, no one will dare contradict you. And here's a very important nuance, which honestly, I don't know how it will play out. There's the planet Venus, which simulates handsome guys, beautiful women, pleasant, sociable types of people. And these people get stuck between your steamrollers. You still run right over them. So, the joke here is that from the 17th to the 21st, there might be some character, charming, pleasant, who ends up in your way, and you just roll right over them. But on the other hand, maybe you even fell in love. The story is more like an office romance, where there's this boss lady who's a Virgo. I don't know if she's actually a Virgo, but the archetype there really shows how a Virgo interacts with their partners. For Virgos, their partnerships are often represented by the sign of Pisces, a touching, sweet character. But the Virgo herself, wow. And here it's kind of similar. There might be some sweet character that the Virgo just passes by, but then she turns around and comes back. Oh, a perfectly lovely creature, and maybe even some kind of love story starts to unfold against all this. That's the kind of plot that could play out here. And another important point here is that on the 21st, Mercury comes to a stop. When it stops, it can give you a deep dive into some intellectual question. But also, Mercury's reversal symbolizes that I'm changing my point of view, and after the 22nd, you might start doing some things a bit differently. In other words, you'll shift your perspective a bit and pay attention to some other matters. Basically, you'll switch your focus to something else. For the sanguine types, let me clarify, the past node's conjunction with Mars is acting up here. Me. I have my own plans, my own ambitions, first house. I'm focused only on myself. At some point, yes, I might run over my partner, steamroll them, then come back. Maybe some romantic story comes up, but in reality, the first house totally dominates here. I see only myself, I know only myself, my plans, my ambitions, and I don't have time for anyone else, not anyone at all. The main thing for me here, my passion in life, is this asphalt paver that I'm just riding around on, and everything around me is getting flattened and shaken up. But I'm not just on a horse, I'm on an asphalt paver. That's a funny forecast. The forecast for Virgos started off kind of weird from the perspective of all these astral entities, but now it's picked up speed, and our conversation is going a lot more cheerfully. The last event I want to talk about is the new moon in the sign of Leo. It's a new moon of authoritarianism, a new moon of a firm hand, which essentially happens in a trine to Saturn in Aries. Saturn in Aries is a fighter to the end. It could be a military person, or it could be a situation involving people with nerves of steel, with whom you have to do something very tough together. Maybe, in fact, this is some kind of love story with such a tough, strong, authoritarian person. Or maybe it's your own inner mood to do business in this kind of energy. Because, basically, all of July, with Mars in your sign of Virgo, well, you're quite the firecracker who will really turn up the heat for everyone. But here you meet a person who can, actually put you Virgos in your place. And that's a paradox, because throughout July you've shown such a strong character. I'm exaggerating, like, with balls of steel, but now someone shows up with platinum ones. And that's a pretty interesting twist that you might not expect, given how things have already shaped up in July. And it's kind of funny, really funny. But seriously, there could be someone here who just leaves you totally stunned. Well, stunned is putting it mildly. So, here we have the Sun in Leo, a new moon in Leo, with a strong emphasis on Saturn in Aries. At the same time, this marks the beginning of a new major cycle. In other words, this meeting, this person, this business with such extreme, intense energies is actually a harbinger of new 3-year or even decade-long programs, both in work and in personal life. And here, over the course of the month, there are actually 2 planets that bring completely different influences to personal life or partnerships. Throughout July, you might get lucky with partnerships thanks to Jupiter, both in your personal and professional life. These are exactly those sweethearts you could steamroll over, then pick up and say, "I'll take it, wrap it up." Kind, nice, soulful, warm, supportive. But there's a second type of person you'll also encounter in relationships, both at work and in your personal life. This is the Saturn-Neptune in Aries type, military, tough, authoritarian, or someone with a strong character, or a person with very powerful ideological views, someone you could easily clash with head-on. But understand, you can't sell anything there, and you can't sell anything here either. And it's unclear whose balls are bigger. Damn. I realize this forecast isn't for kids, but basically, you get what I mean. I don't really swear, so I guess you'll more or less understand my language and won't get too upset about it. So, yeah. So, that's the kind of event happening here on July 24th, a fascinating, tough, strong personality, and maybe some projects that require that kind of toughness. At the same time, this event basically kicks off a 3-year cycle. Some big, serious projects might be outlined here, which will only start to grow from this point on. And right now, they're just being born. That's all I have for now. Just one more thing. I'll clarify that for those with Aries rising, this Saturn in Aries, together with Neptune, might be moving through your 7th house and could actually trigger new programs of love and relationships. Especially with this person made of steel. But it could also be a new stage in your current personal life, when together with your partner you start thinking, hey, why don't we start a business? Of course, this will toughen us up. It's risky, bold, and daring. And here, together with your partner or loved one, an idea might be born that later will sound like how steel was tempered, like how we and our partner built an amazing business or project. And people who are suited for such projects or tasks can come together here. Basically, Saturn and Neptune might already be moving through your 8th house. And then they come right out and say, let's dive into a powerful, bold, and daring business. At the same time, the Sun in the 11th house can symbolize strong friends with whom you can boldly and daringly step into such a business. By the way, this is what the chart looks like for July 24th. That's all from me. Next, we'll move on to the summary. As you can see, the month is quite lively. At the beginning, you can even have a bit of fun with the black moon, and in general. Well, I hope you found this video useful to help you figure out what in this whole kaleidoscope.